Let's drop in. Ooh, what a week it's been. It's been a week. It's been a month. It's been a year. I mean, we're almost halfway into the year. I do this because uh, it's spring, and typically we could say spring is around halfway in the year, but also a lot of indigenous cultures still recognize the beginning of the year as spring, this birth, right? This coming into and growing into what's new and what's coming. And we have the Taurus new moon in the Western astrological system. And yeah, a lot for me uh, is is birthing because a lot is dying. And that's really exciting. And it's also really scary. And I don't know if you're feeling something similar, but if you are, you're not alone. Uh, the best place to be and the times of challenge and change is uh, with ability to self-regulate, with ability to tune in to our needs, especially when we're not in immediate danger, right? Instead, there's often this perceived layer of danger, which is that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mechanism. But if we're here chatting about it, if there's this idea that I can explore of, am I in a nervous system response? Then it means we're probably not in direct threat and direct danger. So something to remind ourselves about. And I get to remind myself when I feel tightness in my chest or worry, thinking forward. I'm like, okay, wait, am I in real danger right now? And what can I do about it? And why am I talking about this? Well, of course, there's a lot of things going on in the world. And again, coming into spring, we have this notion like, oh my gosh, it's halfway through the year. What have I done? And just reminding us, okay, new beginnings are all the time, happening all the time, every single moment. And what is it that I need in this specific moment? That's what Ayurveda is. Ayurveda is the ability to pick and choose based on where I'm at right now, the inputs and the outputs that are currently occurring, would have has happened in the past week, several months, and the environment that I'm in. And the topic of today is around energy, right? Around energy and what can we do to navigate having like sustainable energy, because we need you to be well, my love. We need you to be well. We need you to feel your most vital so that you can live your dharma, which is what this world really needs, is for us to all live in our dharma, our purpose. And as the shloka goes, dharmarthakama mokshanam arogyam mulam uttamam rogastasya paratara shreyaso jivatasya cha. It tells us that we cannot live our dharma, we cannot receive the things that we want to receive, we cannot enjoy the things that we desire, and we cannot achieve moksha, achieve liberation from our physical body, if there is no health. Health must come first, and the best and ultimate way to achieve that health is through the science of life, through the tools that Ayurveda gives us. I'm not saying this has to be your modality, it's just the one that makes sense to me. But there is a modality for everyone who chooses to look into this route of holism, right? There are many holistic systems, but being the definition of holism, we do need to recognize and use the entirety of the system. Maybe it's the principles of it. It's not exactly it's the same for everyone, but it's the principles of that holistic system, whether it's through Ayurveda, whether it's through traditional Chinese medicine or something else, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about energy, right? Let's talk about energy because we need you well, please. And the invitation is we have space for one more person for the externship, opening up one more space actually, so that we can share this medicine. I'm free. I said there's a lot of death and rebirth going on in my life as well. Lot, let go of a lot of things to make more space for this science and for this service specifically. Like I'm here to serve to the best of my abilities in each moment, given the moment itself. So that said, more space for one other person for the clinical internship that is upon us. And that's going to start intakes. We're going to start intakes this week. So if you're interested, reach out. We'll talk about how we can stay energized. Says the emoji thumb that I can't figure out how to turn off. Right. Okay. So the reserves, right, are recognizing our energy capacity moment to moment. This is huge for Ayurveda, and just a couple of tools that we can use to start to honor the strength that our body has for energy and give it the nourishment, the framework so that we can feel vital and have the energy that we need. So first, discussion around digestive connection, right? You'll always hear me talk about digestion. This is the center of transformation. This is the center of being able to take in something, absorb, actually use it, assimilate it, right? Share it to the rest of the body, and then excrete the waste that we're not going to use anymore, right? So the digestive connection, when it's sluggish, when there's impairment in being able to absorb, assimilate, and shoot out those nutrients and expel in any of those processes, if there's sluggishness, right, clogging, too much in excess that slows it down, then our energy is going to be zapped because the attention is going to keep trying to go to fixing that problem. What a waste it can be, right? This digestive system takes more than 80% of what we eat just goes back to the work of digestion. So when it's overworked, we divert our energy to, the feelings that we need, or the energy that we need for our day, and it makes us feel drained. So the simple tweaks that I'll share, which you might be familiar with, to optimize digestion specifically for spring right now, is to start to lessen the amount of meat. I love meat, sustainable meat specifically, that's regenerative. But in the springtime, notice, are you actually craving it? Can we lower that a bit and maybe welcome in more beans, more plant-based proteins? And when I say plant-based proteins, I don't mean the stuff that's like 1,000 ingredients. That actually might be doing more disservice. If you don't know what these ingredients are, I highly doubt that your body, your digestive system knows what to do with them either. And it's going to cause more challenge, more ama, more toxic buildup, more metabolic waste that just gets piled up in the back corner of the liver and different areas of the body until we cannot ignore it anymore. So stick to more simple, stick to a more vegetarian diet, okay? And 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 also recognize those Jirna Ahara Lakshanas that I might have talked about before. If you want the Jirna Ahara Lakshanas, let me know. I have a free worksheet that notes what those lakshanas are. And those lakshanas tell us, did my last meal actually get digested or not? And what those Jirnahata lakshanas are: clear burps, feelings of lightness, of enthusiasm, feelings of downward flow of waste, like urine, like feces, like gas, right? All of that moving downward. Feelings of maybe even, dryness. Am I feeling thirsty? I'm feeling hungry, right? So this tells me my last meal was digested. And how long did it take? Did it take about 3 hours? Did it take 2 to 4, maybe 5? That's not too bad, right? If you get to 5, later end 6, 8 hours, probably my last meal wasn't optimally paired, or maybe I had too much. So digestion is taking longer and it's not going to be optimal for our energy, right? So we start to learn a little bit about what our body needs. If you don't know how to start to burp, right? And you shouldn't force yourself to burp, but to check to see if you have clear burps, that's when you drink some of that freshly boiled hot water. Also for digestive connection, you can try sipping on the hot water in between bites, or some ginger tea in between bites, or drink the water before, like freshly boiled hot water before, to start to um, bring in the proper amount of liquid that we need, instead of eating and then having the liquid after, which can actually make us feel more heavy, right? Water is quite heavy. But if we have the liquids before or during, then we can get a better sense of how much do I actually need to eat right now? What's my proper matra, the size, right? Um, the other way we can discuss our energy reserve and capacity for vital energy is speaking about the nervous system. We obviously have to talk about the nervous system, which is what I started with. Plays a key role in the regulation of our energy levels. Stress in itself, if you think about stress, what does it look like and feel like? I mean, not like everyone looks like this. That's why I feel my cells, my body, my veins, my intracellular walls, the digestive walls. Right? They're like this, and they're tense, and that is such a energy waste when we are constricting, straining, bracing, right? That chronic stress will then put stress on the system and lead to burnout, right? So finding our ways to regulate, and there's so many ways, right? We can use the power of breath, of course. And if you notice what happens when you take a deep breath, specifically in through the nose, and we fill up the belly and exhale, maybe we just notice where the breath exhales from. Can we follow the breath? I like the inhales through the nose and the outs through the mouth. Or box breathing, like breathing in through the nose for 1, 2, 3, 4, holding for 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling for 1, 2, 3, 4, hold out for 1, 2, 3, 4, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, inhale for 4. So that's how the box breathing can go. Anything like this that's going to help us come back to, oh, I'm not actually running from a tiger right now. I'm here thinking about work or money or what the atrocity is going on in the world, and notice, what can I do to regulate myself so I can actually make a supportive next step, right? For yourself, and which inherently will be for others as well. So the power of regulating our nervous system, right? Holding ourselves either side of the body, right? Connecting both hemispheres of the brain to ground down. Sound. To bring us to feel the reverberations of sound coming from your body, the unique vibration and sound that comes from you, through you, for you. It's medicine for you because no one else can make those sounds. Your organs, your physiology, your shape, and the way it comes through you in this moment in relation to what you need is magic in itself. Medicine specifically for you. A favorite of mine, the flutter of the lips to reset. So when we do that, then we can notice, okay, how efficiently is my energy moving, right? Oxygenate the brain, increasing alertness. It revitalizes the body. Another connection to energy is through the food, of course, sustainable, right? Food sources. You think about fasting, intermittent fasting, and Ayurveda, Dwi Anakala, the 2 meals a day. We actually don't see the benefit for fasting longer than 6 hours during the day. Of course, at night, that doesn't count, but like during the day, no longer than 6 hours, because we see the digestive system as a fire, Agni, and you feed a fire so it can keep going. But that doesn't mean overdo it until when the last source is finished, and we give it more, right? That's when the end of the fire source, we feel the Jirna Hara Lakshana, as I mentioned, of proper digestion, then we feed again, right? And we keep that going. So the proper way we could look at food and snacking would be, again, the size of the meal, making sure it's the proper size for you. How do we learn that? Use the same bowl and get curious about actually what it's like to eat the full bowl and a half a bowl. How did I feel after that? When did my Jirna Hara Lakshanas happen? Was in the right time? Or one bowl, or half a bowl? Like, what does that look like for you, unique to you in this season, this time, this moment? And timing, right? Also timing. There is an efficiency when we can circadian cycle, not only through sleep, but also the scheduling of our meals. When we cycle our biological clock in rhythm with nature, then also this helps support the nervous system, because there's this, oh, I'm safe. I know I eat around this time. We're okay to be hungry at this time. Versus if we're in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, the hunger cues will stop, because there's no point in taking in more food when we really need to go deal with this thing that's actually dangerous at this time, right? So when we eat at a proper schedule with the proper amounts, digestive system is so efficient. Use that for your cognitive function. Use that for work, for your joy, for your dharma, right? And then if we're looking at, of course, incorporating the like complex carbohydrates, instead of using the higher glycemic index grains for long periods of time, we start to explore different kinds of food. So if I eat mostly white basmati rice, like low glycemic index, yes, great. But maybe I explore some brown rice, make it a little bit more complex, a little bit harder to get into those nutrients, right? It takes longer to digest so that the blood sugar can actually have a long-term release, right, of sugar. So if we're talking about carbohydrates, or do I need to maybe explore some different kinds of root vegetables? Maybe I don't need to use a grain all the time and I have something like sweet potato. Do I need to have sweet potato and rice? It depends on my body. Is my Agni really high and I actually do need both kinds of carbohydrates? Or am I looking for more Langhana, more lightening? We talked about Langhana and Brahmana, lightening and building, in the last email, I think, with the Shadvidopakrama, the different treatment styles, the 6 treatment styles, therapies in Ayurveda. And if I'm looking for more Langhana, then maybe I don't need a carbohydrate and a protein for all of my meals. Maybe actually I just have like protein and a carbohydrate for lunch, right? A little heavier. And then for dinner, I have actually like bread and vegetables, or rice, more carb heavy, so it can help me sleep. Or do I switch it out and do more protein and vegetables at night so that I can actually feel lighter in the evening? It depends. What is it that you need, right? Snack wise, if I'm really hungry and I need to hold myself over, then maybe those toasted nuts with some salt to help break down the fat instead of cold fat, which is going to be rather challenging during spring and summer. If you think about where seeds and nuts are from, or like indigenously when they were used in the seasons, this is for transition periods, right? Transition seasons. And when our ancestors are moving from a certain place to a certain place, you have the seeds, the nuts, because they're going to hold you over in a time when it might be hard to get food, right? So that's why they work so well when you're going camping, heavy fats. But if you're not really that hungry and you still want to be hungry for dinner, maybe you go for the fruit. Go for the fruit. And maybe just fruit in itself, right? We talked about, I think, And maybe we'll do another discussion about fruit and like dairy, right? Which can actually is quite challenging for the body to digest using different mechanisms of and um, speed times, like how long it takes for fruit to digest versus a yogurt. Um, so then it leaves the other only partially digested, which is festering state for bacteria and for ama. So maybe you stick with fruit and just see how that is. And if any of these implementations seem interesting, but it's so freaking hard to do, first of all, honor the fact that you're interested in making a change and recognize that it's not that easy. That's okay. But that's when the somatics come in. The somatics come in into, well, why is it so hard for me to change right now? Why my body really wants to stay in this path. What is it serving me? How is it serving me? What does my body actually feel? What are the tingles, the opening, the constricting, the different areas of the body that are communicating to me when I really want to have the yogurt and the fruit? Like, why am I so turned on to that? And can we dissect that a little bit? And then after we explore, maybe it won't be so intense. Maybe not. Maybe not. Last, unlocking the mitochondrial power, right? Mitochondria in general. So why is this important? Mitochondria first of all, it's the membrane bound cell organelles, right? This is where we generate most of our chemical energy, and it powers each cell's biochemical reaction, each cell's ability to produce energy to survive, right? So this is the function of actually energy creation, energy transformation, is through our mitochondria. Okay, so it's essential for our mitochondria to be happy. And how do we give it the tools to do what it does best, function properly? Diet, exercise, sleep, right? These are the things that are going to be essential for overall cell production, right? Turnover from one another, like producing more cells, and the actual holding of the ATP to then be released, right? So we've talked about diet, right? The proper nutrients and balancing the carbohydrates and proteins depending on what you're actually looking for, the proper schedule, time of day, the proper amounts, right? Talked about glucose, right? If we're going to have short chain or long chain fatty acids, do we want the extension of what I eat to be quite long, or do I need that burst of energy? That's going to vary based on what kind of carbohydrates I have, and the pairing that I choose, right, is going to be simple or it's going to be really complex. Check out those Jared Lectiones, right? Then we look at, of course, the vitamins and the minerals. These are the micronutrients instead of the macronutrients. So if you are going to have vitamins, can you recognize if they're making a difference? Are they making any difference? If you take a bunch of supplements and vitamins, what if you remove them? This is what we do for the cleanse, which we'll have another one. We're going to have a week-long cleanse coming up. But we remove them and we ask ourselves, like, okay, now what do I feel? And then we'll bring them back to see if there's actually any sort of like recognizable shift, right? Of course, the B complex vitamins are really good. Magnesium, really good at night. All of these are really powerful for our mitochondria function, but only if the body can actually extract the proper vitamins from that supplement or from the food, which is why we simplify first and make sure systematically, like we can even absorb, break down, assimilate the things we're putting in. What else? Exercise, right? We talk about exercise deeply in the last phase of my program, the balancing method, the 11th module, Vyayama. This exercise is, yes, essential, and there's a proper way to exercise for you in this body at this time, in this moment, which really requires you to tune into your capacity right now. If you're feeling sick or you feel like you're about to get sick, again, we talk about this in, other areas of my work, but if you want to know more about that, just let me know. If you feel like you're going to get sick, we don't want to exercise, actually. Okay, so but if you feel like you're in a healthy place, your Jirna Adalakshanas, the last meal was digested, aerobic exercises, right? The things that are kind of rhythmic, like swimming, walking, running, dancing, like things that are going to have increase the oxygen. The cardiovascular system is going to actually work quite rhythmically. This is going to be really helpful for ATP production, prolonged physical activity. Then there's resistance training. So where the rhythmic, more aerobic exercises are really helpful for the quantity, right? The turnover of mitochondria, of cell production, the resistance training is going to stimulate then the quality, right? Like improving the quality of the mitochondrial density and the function between muscle fibers, right, is going to become stronger with resistance training. So the turnover and repair of mitochondria function is going to improve. And then last would be sleep, circadian rhythm, which I can't talk about enough, like how important the circadian rhythm is, by our biological clocks connecting us to nature, connecting us to the rhythms of life around us, because then it helps us flow downstream instead of swim upstream, which takes a lot of energy and will exhaust us. So adequate sleep, it's essential for healthy circadian rhythm, right? Regulating the mitochondrial function. If we disrupt that circadian rhythm, for many reasons, we would do that, like sleeping in wild times or staying up, travel, all these things, then it increases the oxidative stress. It increases the stress that occurs within the cell walls of trying to produce energy, hold the ATP, and then again, the rest, repair, the turnover of cellular production, right? If you just think about the stress that occurs when you breathe in and out through the mouth or have short breath, think about our little mitochondria cells trying to repair in such stress. So when we sleep properly, then the body undergoes maintenance. It undergoes the healing process for literally the cells, for the repair and regeneration, and for our nervous system, right? Which is like overall will create more ease. So if we can see sleep as actually a benefit instead of a diminished return, but we see it as an investment in my overall health, to sleep is actually going to make me do better in every way of life. My energy is going to be heightened. This is working smarter, not harder. Smarter, not harder. And I'm calling that in as I move into this work with you. I've burnt out too much, too much, too much. No más, no más. Smarter, not harder. It is an investment to rest. Check in with the self. Where am I actually at? So that when I do exercise, when I do choose my food, I'm coming from a place that feels actually quite regulated. Despite my the changing environments and people and what have you. Okay. So what else wants to happen right now? Other than saying how much I love you and for being, thank you for being interested in living a holistic way. This is the way that I will continue to serve in this world. And we need to see you well. We need you living in as your fullest self. We need you to trust your dharma work, to find focus, and we need you to have energy to do that, which means, I'm grateful that you're interested in this work. And if there's anything that you want me to speak to when it comes to this space, let me know so I can create something around it. If you want to join the clinical internship, which is coming in hot. I'll give you 3 days from the uh, release of this video to sign up at the $800 for 8 weeks. And then after this, it'll bump back up to almost like 46% increase in price for now. But yes, because that's what the Radiance prices are. And working on the scholarships, really working on it. We're working on getting funding so we can bring more people into the space who are actually committed. Ding! Committed to this process, and just the financial exchange isn't like there right now. I see that, I hear that. It's not your fault, and you deserve healing. We all do, especially if you're willing to do the work. And I want to work with you, make it happen. So we make a way. Just reach out. Payment plans, we have it all. Scholarships to come, but right now this 800 for 8 weeks is like the business. And if you need anything else, please let me know. I love you. I love you. I love you. Keep doing your thing. You're amazing. Mm. Mwah. Ciao for now.